You've probably heard of the Mafia. You might even know about the Mexican Mafia or the Bloods and Crips. But deep inside the most dangerous prisons in America, a smaller, more secretive group has been quietly responsible for an astonishing level of violence. This is the story of the Aryan Brotherhood, a white supremacist gang that makes up less than 1% of the U.S. prison population, yet has committed over 25% of all prison murders. How did a group of racist convicts rise from prison yard nobodies to one of the deadliest criminal networks in America? Let's take you inside. The Aryan Brotherhood was born in 1964 at California's San Quentin State Prison. The timing wasn't random. The 1960s were a time of social upheaval, and that tension bled into prison walls. African-American inmates had begun organizing themselves, most notably into a group called the Black Guerrilla Family. In response, a small group of white inmates decided they needed protection and retaliation. They called themselves the Diamond Tooth Gang and later the Aryan Brotherhood. At first, they were more about survival than ideology. But as time passed, their actions became defined by one core belief: white supremacy. They adopted Nazi swastikas, SS lightning bolts, and other hateful iconography. Tattoos were mandatory, not just for membership, but as a sign of lifelong allegiance. Loyalty to the Brotherhood became more important than loyalty to family, country, or even life itself. Murder became a rite of passage. If you wanted in, you had to kill for it. The Aryan Brotherhood didn't grow in numbers like the Crips or Bloods. Instead, it thrived on control. A few hundred men could dominate entire prisons through fear, strategy, and ruthlessness. Despite what Hollywood might portray, the Aryan Brotherhood isn't a chaotic group of skinheads running wild. It has a structure: rigid, disciplined, and cold-blooded. At the top are the commissioners, the inner circle. They rarely leave solitary confinement. Yet from those cells, they give orders that ripple across state lines and prison walls. Below them are lieutenants and enforcers. These men maintain order, recruit new blood, and carry out violent missions when needed. Then come the soldiers, the foot soldiers who enforce prison taxes, carry shanks, and spill blood. Every member is bound by a strict code. Never betray a brother, never speak to authorities, always retaliate with violence, and if ordered to kill, you do it without hesitation. Disobedience means death. So does weakness. This is why the Aryan Brotherhood doesn't need to be large. Their reputation for lethal enforcement means few inmates dare challenge them. Inside prison, the Aryan Brotherhood controls everything from protection, rackets, to drug distribution. They sell meth, heroin, and cigarettes. They tax weaker inmates, and if someone owes a debt, that person disappears, often in a pool of blood in a blind spot away from security cameras. The group's most infamous saying is this: blood in, blood out. You join by killing. You leave only by dying. Most people assume prison gangs lose power once a member gets released, not the Aryan Brotherhood. In fact, many of their most significant operations are directed from prison to the streets. Using coded letters, visitors, contraband phones, and corrupt staff, Aryan Brotherhood leaders coordinate everything from murder for hire to drug trafficking networks outside the wire. They've maintained contact with biker gangs, white supremacist militias, and even cartel organizations despite their racist ideology, all in the name of profit. One of the Brotherhood's strongest tools is its ability to inspire loyalty through fear. Former members have testified that they'd rather spend 20 years in solitary than betray the gang. In 2002, the FBI launched Operation Black Widow, one of the most extensive crackdowns on the Aryan Brotherhood. Dozens of high-ranking members were indicted, including the top leaders. Prosecutors hoped to decapitate the gang. But even from supermax prisons, locked away in solitary 23 hours a day, leaders like Barry Mills and Tyler Bingham continued issuing kill orders. The indictments did damage, but didn't stop the bloodshed. One former prosecutor said, "These men run their empire the way CEOs run a Fortune 500 company, with ruthless efficiency." Today, the Aryan Brotherhood remains one of the most feared prison gangs in America. It's active in both federal and state prisons, especially in California, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Despite crackdowns, splintering, and internal disputes, the Brotherhood has managed to survive. Their strength comes from scarcity. Unlike other gangs, they don't accept just anyone. You have to be white, willing to kill, and committed for life. That exclusivity makes them harder to infiltrate. But they also face new challenges. Inside prison, rival gangs like the Sureños, Black Guerrilla Family, and even other white power gangs have grown in power. The Brotherhood has faced internal fractures, with some factions breaking away or refusing to follow older leadership. Outside prison, law enforcement pressure is growing. RICO charges, intelligence units, and better surveillance have made it harder to operate unnoticed. Some states have begun placing known Aryan Brotherhood members into isolation permanently, cutting them off from communication. But the legacy of fear, violence, and control still lingers. The Aryan Brotherhood is more than a gang. It's a criminal ideology, one that uses hate as a weapon, loyalty as a chain, and death as its signature. As long as prisons remain overcrowded, underfunded, and violent, there will always be room for groups like the Aryan Brotherhood to thrive. Their existence is a symptom of a larger disease. A broken system that rewards violence, punishes weakness, and leaves power in the hands of the most brutal. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the Aryan Brotherhood. If you want to explore more prison gangs, undercover operations, or stories from inside the U.S. justice system,